UN humanitarian and development data indicate over 7.2 million Nigerians could face disruptions to critical health, humanitarian and development programs following the United States decision to withdraw from dozens of United Nations and non-UN international organizations. A White House fact sheet released on January 7th, 2026, confirms that President Donald Trump signed a presidential memorandum ordering the United States to withdraw from 66 international organizations. 31 are linked to the United Nations and 35 are non-UN bodies. The U.S. Now, for more in-depth analysis on this, former lawyer and global affairs analyst Evans Ufeli joins me now to just pretty much give more in-depth analysis. Evans, Happy New Year to you. And should I say Merry Christmas? I haven't seen you in a long while. Let's get started, shall we? And just talk about how significant this U.S.'s decision to withdraw from 66 international organizations, what would it mean in terms of global diplomatic terms and geopolitics?
Well, it's going to disrupt a lot of things because America should know that what really makes them a global power is this widespread involvement in these international organizations and how they have spearheaded global peace and promoted trade, economic activities, help other countries, poorer countries to come up, and they've been able to put a lot economically in many organizations that have promoted different areas of the human endeavor, from climate change to carbon management to gas flaring to environmental issues, and even to terrorism, war against terrorism, and some of the ills of society. And now to say that the United Nations headquarters is resident in the United States, we know why the League of Nations failed. The League of Nations failed primarily because America wasn't part of it. And they also had to face a lot of issues just after the outbreak of the Second World War, which led actually to the Second World War, the weakness of the League of Nations. Now, when the United Nations was formed, it was formed, the U.S. spearheaded it, and today we have a semblance of peace, maybe not across the world, but a semblance of peace generally across the world, except for the Middle East.
I mean, would you say peace? Would you say peace or order, right? A semblance of order, which we're beginning to see it, shake at its roots.
Well, not globally. When I say peace, I don't mean globally.
Right.
I mean, the Middle East is exempted, and the part of Africa is exempted.
Right.
Understand?
Right.
And maybe now Russia and
Ukraine.
Part of that, yeah.
So let's talk about that, right? And look at consequences. I remember an article saying that what Trump is notorious for is pushing the boundaries of what's possible and seeing who will call him out, right? And he did that his last time. We're seeing it now again. Will the U.S. face any treaty or international sanctions or law consequences for pulling out of these bodies? Do you see the UN taking action at all?
Well, when you say the UN, what exactly is the UN? The UN is practically the US in the manner of speaking. I know that you have the G8 and all that, but the UN Charter, okay, the UN Charter must be looked at, okay, because there are provisions there that deal with exit. What should a country do if it feels he wants to exit from this union and some of the sub-union, because many of the union are sub-union. And to also say that it's an executive bill, really. This is an executive bill. And the nature of executive bill is that it can be challenged. This action can be challenged. This is an executive bill. So, people can go to court and challenge it. And if it goes their way, the president will not be able to just pull out that way. Okay. So, but it is for the institutions themselves to look at their extant law, the law that brought up all these international organizations, okay, and look at the provision that deal with countries that feel, because the Trump is looking at this clearly from a businessman's angle, having a business background. What I listened to him and was talking about, it does no longer serve the interests of America. America is wasting resources. The taxpayers' money will no longer be used for all those issues to waste American resources. It does not serve Americans' cause and the rest of that. So it was all about saying that. So for Trump, it's about cutting down costs, reducing wasteful expenses, not throwing money around the world in those organizations, and not supporting them because they don't really serve the purpose of the U.S. Right. And then getting the funds together to serve America. That's what it's about.
Okay. So,
okay, as a businessman, as a man with a business background.
You're saying business, right? But also let's look at the foreign policy priorities of Trump's administration. In this current dispensation that we're at, what does this move signal in terms of geopolitics and their policy priorities? Besides business?
The foreign policy of Trump, America under Trump, for me, seems to be closing up international ties rather than opening them up. Trump feels America is self-sufficient, and that may not be true. That may not be clearly true. He stopping aids, pulling out from international organizations, acting alone, going solo. To what end, really? The world is interconnected, okay, in terms of trade, in terms of humanitarian activities, in terms of diplomatic ties. Okay, you can't extricate or exfoliate yourself from diplomatic relationships, because at some point you need other parts of the world to come together. Yeah, so, but because America have the war chest, is the richest country in the world, okay, it has the war chest, the military might. We talk about weaponry, talk about everything. Yeah, so the tendency to want to act this way when you have a president that allows it to go overboard is there, okay, and someone from a business background is there, but business is different from governance. Governance have to lend to humanity, have to give human face to policies.
All right. Evans, I must say thank you, Evans Ufeli, the legal practitioner, joining us live, giving us insight as the United Nations have now pulled, or rather the United States of America, has now pulled out of 66 international bodies.